All right, welcome back. Just a quick break right there. Still breezing through hour two here. Frankie's going to take a quick break right here and join me back in a minute. Bill Evers from the Center for Educational Excellence at the Independent Institute joins us right after this, talking about how kids being locked up in the house is not good for them, and we got to get kids back to school. Now, I'll tell you, just to relate some, personal stuff. My kids came over last night. We went next door to my mom's. We sat socially distant. Mom made a big dinner of pasta and meatballs and all this other stuff. Fantastic meal. Thank you, Mom. She's always tuned in. The last few times I've talked to my kids, I asked them, hey, would you rather do school from now on from home? And across the board, 2 high school students, 1 college student, Victoria's in college, Ava's in high school, John's in high school. All 3 of them were like, no, I'd rather go back to school. And somebody who knows a heck of a lot about this more than I do, Bill Evers, joins us right now. Bill Evers, as I mentioned, is a senior fellow and director at the Center for Educational Excellence at the Independent Institute. Hey, Bill, thanks for joining us.
Delighted to be with you.
Okay. So, Bill, I was just talking in the open as we were waiting for you to hook in.
Yes.
The corona pandemic has done something that I think parents have been trying to accomplish for years. My kids report to me that they would rather go back to school than do remote learning. Is it having bad mental effects on kids, having them locked up like this? What are you guys seeing there at the Independent Institute?
Well, we think that this lockdown of schools was a mistake. There are lots of detrimental things in the way of education going on, not just the cabin fever of kids and the desire of kids to see their friends, but also if they don't have, you can do a lot with online learning, but the current state of the art, it really indicates that unless you're very self-motivated, very self-disciplined, have a lot of support from parents at home, it's hard to make it work. And the parents were really not ready for this. The teachers were not ready for this. So it's sort of been a catastrophe.
I think here in New York, I know a lot of fine men and women who are teachers, and they've adapted pretty quickly. So the disaster I don't think is on the teacher side, because they've stepped up to the plate and got some semblance of order. But I know when I went to school, I was a straight 80s student. But, I had probably the best experiences of my life. The best friends I made in life were through my educational experience. And that's being stripped away from kids.
It has. They don't have that interaction. They don't have that socialization. And it's too bad. I think, it's sort of a worse situation if the parent is an essential worker, or maybe the parent just doesn't have the income to have the equipment right. A lot of the schools, of course, are delivering equipment, but nonetheless, not everybody has it. And sometimes the parents aren't fully educated and they have difficulties in doing this. I mean, parents are not highly educated, can make it work. And we all know from wonderful cases like Ben Carson and Justice Clarence Thomas that you can have a not completely educated parent who can still get you to do well in schooling.
Yeah, so, I would say that I am the classic case of a lackadaisical student, that I just strive to get by and not get in trouble and get grades that were good enough to keep my parents happy. But I was lackadaisical. I would imagine that kids that are just young in the early years of high school, last years of middle grade school, that are lackadaisical already, sitting home in their bedroom on a laptop, it's only going to decrease their interest more.
Well, it's also, there's also problems where so some of the teachers unions have gotten agreements with the schools, arrangements with the schools, where they only have to teach 4 hours a day. They don't have to grade any work, or they can grade it pass fail. This is not good for motivating the lazier student. If you're doing exams online, there's potential cheating problems. It's you can't really monitor very well what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, kids are going to be kids, right? And
Right.
there's some forms of cheating and plagiarism going on when there are teachers in the classroom. So they must
That's right.
be it must be a bonanza for these kids now. I know at my kids' school they have some software that when the kids submit their work, it scans all of their work at the same time and compares, really identical or common phrases, and they kind of scan it for, I guess they're calling it educational integrity.
I think that's a very good thing. You know, to see if they're copying passages, I think that's great. On the other hand, it's just it's more ideal if we can get some brick and mortar education in there. So I was talking when I was having reservations about all virtual schooling, all distance learning schooling. It's if you mix some of that with bricks and mortar, which some people are talking about for the fall or summer school. I really think, by the way, children should go back to summer school. They just have this gap in their learning. They need
Yeah, you you you
quality. They
you
need quality time on task. They
you
need
try to
quality.
be the politician that tells parents their kids got to go back to school over the summer. You'll never get
Well,
reelected.
I realize that, but I'm not here to be a
Yeah,
politician. I'm
right.
here to give
I'm saying
advice
it's
about
so
kids
politically
learning.
unpopular that I don't think any.
Right,
I understand where you're coming from to get them back on track or
right,
something. I mean, we used to do pranks in high school, like light off a firecracker in the back of the
right,
classroom or something, or
right.
turn your test into an airplane and throw it out the window in the middle of class. Kids, even losing that part of the experience where there's that's all part of your development. Getting caught doing something wrong here and there and getting detention. The kids, I think they're all being, vanillaized, if that's a word.
Well, they're all under house arrest, so there's no point in detention on top of that, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Even
So,
the discipline of school is good for you, I think.
well, you need concentrated time on task. I mean, some of these union arrangements with teachers don't require the teachers to be working on any specific schedule. Some, it's not like a classroom. A classroom, if you were trying to do that online, you'd have a specific time every day, geography at 10:30, and that would be true, and the teacher would be there interacting with the students live. A lot of the schools are not doing that
Right.
now.
What
There's
about
some
but in our last couple minutes here, I want to ask you about this because I have some friends that have kids that have special needs, right? Like one of our
right.
contributors, Jennifer Cuevas, her son has some special needs. What about those kids who they need that person there, that therapist there. They need physical touch. They need, direct eye contact. How bad is this for kids with special needs to be only remote?
I think they have the worst situation. I mean, talk about a need to go to summer school. They are really not. They often can't do this work interactively over video. They need somebody that can guide them more closely. So they have the worst situation. I mean, there's a lot of clever people out there trying to develop software so that special needs students, special education students can do their work online, but it's still very underdeveloped.
Got it. All right. Well, we're going to have to leave it there. Bill, thank you so much for your perspectives. We really appreciate the work you guys are doing at
Thank
the
you.
Independent Institute. And as this thing develops, we're going to have you back and get your insights some more.
I would be delighted to do so, and thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. That's Bill Evers, Senior Fellow and Director of the Center on Educational Excellence at the Independent Institute. And the Center on Educational Excellence at the Independent Institute is not a place that I would have qualified to get into, I can tell you that. Some of my high school friends are actually on the stream today, including one of the brightest guys in my high school, Dr. Frank Tamburino, he's like an art surgeon or something now. I think we do have to get kids back in school just to get those interactions, get those friendships, brotherships, bonds, sisterships. There's a lot of other things going on other than learning, and there's socioeconomic development there that's really important to teenage kids. So we're going to take a quick break. I'm going to come back right after this, break down some more news of the day with Frankie. I am going to mix up a cold one and get ready for my, hopefully, round of golf a little later, right after this.